Let me tell you about the mosaic base, the substrate you'll be creating your mosaic from. I designed this water lily. It's kind of an adaptation of my mosaic business logo. And it's created out of birch plywood, and this is furniture grade birch plywood, so it's nice and smooth to your touch. It's a beautiful material, and it includes these raised edges, which kind of outlines your mosaic design. Let me show you the beautiful glass you'll be using for your mosaic water lily. I always say that beautiful materials help make a beautiful mosaic. This pretty kind of grass green, I love it. And this green is even prettier because it's iridized on one side. So that's for the leaves on your water lily. Then we have this gorgeous pink. And you know, in the glass world, pink is kind of hard to come by. I love this color pink. And this pretty soft baby lilac. And the yellow. Look at this yellow here. This is really special because it's iridized once again and has a special shine to it. And then, of course, you know I love my bling. This is gold mirror instead of silver mirror, and it's it kind of has a texture to it. And that makes for a nice little bling in the center of your water lily petals. And this is for the background. Oh my gosh, this is gorgeous glass. It, once again, is iridized and has a special coating on it that makes it so beautiful. So like I say, use beautiful materials and that'll help make a beautiful mosaic. Since this is a beginner mosaic art kit, I pre-cut all the beautiful glass sheets for you into these tiny little slivers, and that's what you'll use to create your petals on your water lily. I'll show you real quickly how I do it. I use wheeled nippers and just cut, I'm going to get closer here so you can see it, little slivers off like this. Now, these little slivers are pretty sharp, and if you're an experienced mosaic artist, it's not a big deal. But since this is a beginner kit, I've gone to the trouble of putting all these little slivers into my tumbler, into my rock tumbler. So it takes the sharpest bits off. It's still glass, and I suppose you could cut yourself, but certainly not anything like this. Those are really sharp little points. Before you get started setting all your glass pieces, I wanted to emphasize a few things. That we want to not think about leaving room for grout. Grout always finds its way. Try to glue your pieces, set your pieces as close as you possibly can. Now you will still have some gaps, and this is what I say. I always say grout is your friend. Grout will fill in those gaps where it's, it's not a perfect fit. So don't worry about that. I also want to emphasize too, as you're working, that you don't want any of your little glass pieces tilting up, being askew. So I like to not rub my hands, but just kind of touch, sometimes with the heel of my hand, and make sure, don't rub like that or you can cut yourself. Just make sure that everything is lying flat, and before the glue dries, it's a good time to fix that if it's not. Couple of things, wheeled nippers, you don't absolutely have to have them for this design, but it will make some of your fits a little bit easier. Also, these are specifically made for mosaics, mosaic tweezers. Some of these little pieces are pretty little, and it kind of helps arrange things in when you get into fiddly spots. So I will offer both of these on my website. If you're interested, you can add that on to your kit. So once again, don't have any of your pieces sitting up askew. Make sure everything is totally flat. I'm ready to get started creating my glass water lily mosaic. I like to put all my pieces out on a tray like this, or you could use a cookie sheet or something like that. That way you can see the shapes and the sizes of what you've got. Also, if there were to be any little glass dust at all on there, that way it's not on your workspace. So I'm going to get started with the gold bits. I have not put these in the rock tumbler because they have a white backing, and I don't want to be scratching that off. So these potentially could be a little sharp, so handle with care. Here we go. I'm going to start with the gold bits, and I use this wonderful water-based adhesive. And Q-tips I love. It kind of spreads the glue around a little bit. People always ask me how much glue should I use, and I do have a smart aleck answer. I say enough, but not too much. If you use too much glue and it smushes up in between your glass pieces, your tessera, it doesn't look very pretty. But we, of course, want to use enough glue that everything sticks. You'll sort of feel it kind of grab. The glue will sort of grab a little bit. And I'm just using a few little bitty hits here of the gold because I like a little bit of bling. If you get any glue on top of your glass pieces, on top of your tessera, that's the fancy word, mosaic word, tessera, don't worry about it because when we grout, that will come off very, very easily, you'll see. So there's not any particular rhyme or reason to this. It's just kind of, oh, there we go. I like that. That makes me happy. Next, I'm going to move on to setting this pretty yellow. Notice the yellow pieces have two sides. One side's kind of flat. It's still pretty. The other side is the prettiest of all. It's iridized, so we want to try to have that shiny side go up for sure. You'll see that I have drawn kind of some rough guidelines here to let you see that the yellow would go there, and then the progression is to the lilac and then to the pink. It doesn't have to be, an exact line. I don't want that. I want it to be a gentle fade. But we want the colors to be sort of even all the way around. So let's start. I'm going to start here in the middle with this pretty yellow. There's no right or wrong. You sort of make it up. You'll see that this glue is fabulous. You know what I did? I used the wrong side again. And once again, I got glue on the top, but no worries. This glue is fabulous because it has what I call wiggle time. You can move things around if you don't like where they are. Kind of fix this and fix that. And, I'm using the right side. I like that there. Maybe I'll find a piece that's... about this one. I like that one. There we go. And maybe a real tiny one. Oops. Kind of hard to get a hold of sometimes. A real tiny one right there. And I'm looking for another tiny one. This one's pretty. Right there. So I'll move along and do the yellows on this side too. You'll see that I've not done the greenery down here at all yet. You know why? Because the green glass is still in the tumbler and it needs 4 to 6 hours to get all the sharp edges off. Love this pretty yellow iridized glass. Look how gorgeous it is when the light hits it. So let's move on. I'm going to move on to this pretty baby lilac. I'm going to start over here. I think it goes with my little cantankerous here. Everybody's got one of these, and when the glue gets a mind of its own, try that. Yeah, perfect. And Q-tip. I think it goes without saying that all of the glass pieces, the tessera, need to go out like this. We're headed straight out and straight up, nothing that goes across like that, because that is not the design. So I have given you a toothpick. That can come in handy sometimes if you just want to do some little kind of little rearranging, a little of this, a little of that, without having to use your fingers and get glue on your fingers, which of course won't hurt you because it is water-based glue and it washes off very easily if you get glue on your fingers. Now this pretty glass here, this pretty lilac, is not iridized. You can use either side you'd like. Makes no difference. So I need a real skinny piece there, don't I? So I'll continue working here. And I am enjoying this. So the lilac is all glued on. It's all set. I wanted to show you these little corners here. Don't forget those little places there for your lilac too, so it goes around like that. Sorry. Now I'm going to start with the pretty pink. I'm going to turn it upside down just because it makes it easier for me. There we go. I wanted to say that if you own wheeled nippers like these, you might find that as you're setting your mosaic, pardon me, you can do some refinements and maybe make some little cuts here and there. But remember, if you do that, you will then have a sharp edge. So just be, it's not a problem with mosaics. Just be aware of that. There we go. I will offer wheeled nippers as an add-on. I offer them as an add-on to the kit on my website if you're interested in those. Also, these are excellent tools to have as well. These are Mosaic tweezers, and if your fingers are tired of picking up these little bitty things like this, you'll see that these nippers, these little tweezers can be quite helpful. I will offer those on my website as an add-on to the kit as well if you're interested. But also just regular health and beauty aid tweezers would work for you as well. So I'm going to finish up this gorgeous piece of art, and I'll let you know when I'm finished. So I finished with all the pink. It's looking great. And then I went ahead and did the green on the bottom. Now you have two shades of green. This is the iridized one. See how pretty that is? And I chose to put it in the middle and then the grass green on either side. You could just sort of assort it if you wanted to, or you could do a fade from dark to light or light to dark, whatever floats your boat. But isn't that iridized glass pretty? So make sure when you use this glass that you use the shiny side up. Now I think it looks great just as it is, but I want to frame it out. So I cut tiles, glass tiles out of the same little lilac color, and I'm going to put these all around the edge to create kind of a visual border. And then I'm going to come in with this really pretty iridized white. And I have cut the iridized white in assorted little triangles that will fit in and fill in. So I'm going to work on this, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's almost done. The border is all set. I glued it all down. This pretty baby lilac border looks so wonderful on there. And I started filling in with this pretty iridized glass. Remember, the shiny side's on one side. The other side is fine. It's white glass, but boy, use that pretty shiny side. And I have an assorted size of triangles, and I'm just fitting them together, kind of puzzle-like. Remember, your gaps can be different. Some can be small, some can be large. Grout is your friend. We'll be grouting in a similar color, so it'll all fill, the spaces will fill in with the grout. So it's kind of like, I guess, a puzzle? So I'm going to continue on, and I'll show you how pretty it looks when it's all finished, and then When it's all finished, we can grout the next day. How gorgeous is this? And we're not even finished. We'll grout this tomorrow. And when it's grouted, it's going to be even more beautiful. I wanted to show you these triangles here, the way I set them in. That fill in is, there's no particular order, no particular pattern. However they fit in is how you're going to do it. And you try to fit them as close as possible, but you're going to have some gaps. This also is the time, since your glue is probably not 100% set up, to make sure to kind of just press, don't rub your hands, and make sure that there's no piece of glass sticking up or askew. And I did want to mention that these tiles, the square border tiles and little triangles, did not go through the tumbler. So there is a possibility of some little sharp edges. They're not quite as pointy sharp as these slivers were. But so be sure to handle with care. No worries. So we'll grout tomorrow, and that is my absolute favorite part. I'm going to wait 12 to 24 hours before I grout to make sure that that glue is totally set up. Okay, so let's mix the grout. I've sent you approximately about 6 ounces of grout, and the ratio of grout to water is 6 to 1. So I have 1 ounce, probably about 1.5 ounces of water here. And I want you to add the water very, very slowly, a little bit, maybe half of it at a time. You never want your grout to be too runny. I'm looking for a consistency of mashed potatoes, cookie dough, something like that. And it takes a lot of stirring for it to start to come together. It's not going to happen right away. It's starting to. Okay. Add a little bit more, a little at a time. Maybe we're starting to get there. Yeah. Be sure to stir from the bottom as well. And I had 1.5 ounces of water, and it seems to be about the right amount. Yeah, it's starting to come together. Here we go. That may have been a little shy. So, you know, one of the things I keep around is a spray bottle of water. This is an old Windex bottle, but it is just water. And I just give it a couple sprays there because I never want to add too much water because you can't take it out. There we go. Now we're talking. This is exactly what I'm looking for. See that? It's kind of cookie dough, mashed potatoes. Perfect. So I'm going to let this grout sit for a few minutes. That's called slaking. And then we'll come back and start grouting your beautiful water lily. So I've let this grout sit for a few minutes, probably 3 or 4 minutes, and it started to stiffen up a little, which sometimes it will. So I'm going to use my spray bottle and just give it some mist of plain water and give it another stir. Perfect. That's exactly how I want it to be. See this? Kind of stiff mashed potatoes. So let's grout this beauty. I'm excited. We're going to use this pool noodle as a kind of a grout spreader. It's wonderful because you don't have to worry about any cuts, or since we are using glass here, you don't have to worry about your fingers. You're going to smush it in and smush it around, and you're going to be pretty aggressive. You've done a great job of gluing everything on, so don't worry about anything. Grouting, by the way, is my absolute favorite part of mosaicing. I love seeing grout. Grout makes it all come together, and I love to see that. So make sure and get the edges. Don't worry about getting grout on your wood part. It's actually the same color, so won't hurt anything. So I'm going to keep smushing and spreading. You'll also see that the grout goes a very long ways. You have plenty of grout because you're going to spread it all around. So I've finished spreading this pretty well. I want to note for you that this is sanded grout, which is very important that you use sanded grout, not unsanded grout. And you're going to say why? Well, it's a long explanation, so you can shoot me an email or post a comment and I'll explain. So, all done. We had plenty of grout, no worries there. The next step is not a wet sponge. I'm not going to take a wet sponge at all to this. It's more of a dry method, and I'm going to use lots of paper towels and rub in, rub off, rub in, rub off. You don't want to be taking a damp or a wet sponge to this at all, because when you do that, you pull the grout away from the glass pieces. And we want to keep that grout even with the glass pieces so there are no sharp edges. I just keep rubbing in and rubbing off. More paper towels. At this point, you may see some glue that shows up on top of your tester, of your glass. The grout loosens it up pretty well. You can use a pokey tool like a toothpick, or sometimes even just your fingernail will loosen that up easily as well. So now is the time that you're going to take off some of that glue if you see it on top of your glass. So I'm going to keep working on this and get back to you. I have a second disposable bowl of water here, and I am going to use my sponge here and wring it out pretty well. I'm going to use it to clean off the sides, to clean off the wood and get that grout off of there and make it look a little nicer. If you got grout on the sides or on the back, now's the time to clean that off. Looks good. Looks great. I'm now going to use, this is an old t-shirt, or you could use a terry cloth towel, and just do a lot of rubbing and buffing. And it is starting to come to life. I love this iridized glass. What do you think? You can see, I see some glue. I was a little sloppy, wasn't I? Now's the time to get that off. A little glue there, and a little glue there. So I'm going to work on that for a while, and then I'm just kind of continue buffing with this old t-shirt, and it gets shinier and shinier. I love the way grout pulls it all together. Ta-da! Oh, wow. That's gorgeous. One of the things I love about glass is the reflectivity. We've used a lot of iridized glass here, and look at this beauty shine. I have cleaned up all the glue, done a little picky work on everything. In a couple of days, you may see that it starts to haze over a little bit. If that were to happen, take a little bit of white vinegar, a couple of tablespoons to a half a cup of water, and just wipe it down with that, and that will take off any grout haze if it's still there. I like to keep shining and buffing. You see these outlines? I think it looks perfect just the way it is, but if you have some craft paints and you want to paint these outlines or the border, gold would be pretty. Maybe pick up this pretty pink color, but I kind of like it the way it is right now. I think it's very subtle, very zenful. Belongs in a yoga studio, right? So congratulations. I know you did a good job, and I really enjoyed doing it. I hope you enjoy the process of mosaicing. It's kind of relaxing for me. So congrats. Great job.